Hi everyone, it's Mr. Simpson here for Mr. Simpson's Storytime, ready for episode 8. Now, this is an amazing book. It is one of my very favourites. I know I've said that about a few, but this is really true with this one. It's written by a lady by the name of Alicia Satin Cappuccilli, and it is the wonderful, the amazing Mrs. McTats and her house full of cats. So I hope you really enjoy this book. Here we go. In a small cosy cottage lived Mrs. McTats. She lived all alone, except for one cat. Every morning she left as the clock struck 8. To market, I mustn't be late. She browsed through the market and chose a plump fish. For Abner and me, what a sumptuous dish. But when she got home, there came a scratch on the door, and in walked 2 cats. Was there room for 2 more? Come in, my sweet dears, said Mrs. McTats. I'm sure I've got room for just 2 more cats. I'll call you Basil, and Curly you'll be. I only had 1 cat, and now I have 3. The very next morning, Mrs. McTats woke early. She stopped to pet Abner and Basil and Curly. To market, I mustn't be late. This chicken, I think, will surely taste great. But when she got home, there came a scratch on the door, and in walked 3 cats. Was there room for 3 more? Come in, my sweet dears, said Mrs. McTats. I think I've got room for just 3 more cats. Now give me a moment. What shall your names be? Your Dolly, your Ernest, and Fuzzy. Makes 3. The very next morning, off went Mrs. McTats. What can I buy for 6 hungry cats? I've got it, she said. I'll make a nice stew. So she carried home beef and liver to brew. But back at home, there came a scratch on the door, and in walked 4 cats. Was there room for 4 more? Come in, my sweet dears, said Mrs. McTats. I know there's a place for just 4 more cats. 10's a fine number. 10 cats and me. I'll call you Goldie, and Herman you'll be. Izzy and Jezebel pranced across the floor, and then right behind them followed 5 more. Coco and Linus, Millie, Noreen, and you shall be Oscar. There, that makes 15. The very next day, off went Mrs. McTats. What can I possibly feed 15 cats? She chose a fresh tuna. She chose a fine trout. But when she got home, her cats were all out. She counted her cats from 1 to 15, but somehow 6 more cats had just joined the scene. Come, my sweet dears, said Mrs. McTats. I'm sure I have plenty for 21 cats. Pep, Quip, and Rosebud, Sally and Posy. Ursula dear, do make yourself cosy. But then came another scratch on the door. Could it be more cats? How many more? In came Violet. In came Winnie. And just behind, a kitten she named Zinny. In came Yodel, the last of the bunch. 25 cats ready for lunch. But something was missing. What could it be? Just what it was Mrs. McTats could not see. As she stood there puzzling, there was a scratch on the door, and Mrs. McTats wondered, could there really be more? Could she squeeze in more cats? More than 25? Who was the one? Who was the next to arrive? Come in, my sweet dear, said Mrs. McTats. I live in this cottage with 25 cats, but if you don't mind, you're welcome to stay. You're welcome to eat. You're welcome to play. Now, in that small cottage lives Mrs. McTats, all happy and cosy with her 25 cats. And one little puppy, who's known as Zoom, in a small cosy cottage with plenty of room. And just when the clock strikes each morning at 8, Mrs. McTats hurries off. I mustn't be late. To market, what treats will there be for 26 sweet dears from A through to Z? Thank you very much. I absolutely adore that story. That was Mrs. McTats and her house full of cats. I will see you all tomorrow for another amazing story. Bye!